One of the most overlooked parts of learning Spanish is getting a good accent. You could have perfect grammar and know thousands of Spanish vocabulary words, but if you don't speak well, it's going to be more difficult than it should be to connect with the native Spanish speakers. So today, I'm going to talk about 3 simple changes you can make today that will immediately improve your Spanish accent. And I'm not talking about how to pronounce specific sounds better. I've got a whole bunch of videos on my channel about breaking down individual sounds. You can go check those out if you want. But today, I'll be talking about 3 changes that impact the speed and rhythm of your Spanish rather than individual sounds. And these 3 changes made a huge personal difference to me when I learned them as I was living abroad in countries like Colombia and Spain. Once I learned them, I was able to keep up with the rhythm and pace of Spanish speech much more easily and contribute to a lot more conversations. These 3 changes are 1. Removing the schwa, 2. Removing the glottal stop, and 3. Shifting your focus of articulation forward in the mouth. And I'll explain what that means when we get there. Each of these changes alone will give your Spanish accent an immediate upgrade, and all 3 together will completely revolutionize the way you speak Spanish. So let's get into it. Fix number 1, removing the schwa. In English, we have a habit of getting lazy with our vowels. We take a normal vowel like a or o and turn it into a relaxed vowel like or I. And you can hear it all the time in words like elephant, salad, banana. A lot of the ways we speak those vowels are kind of lazy, neutral, and more like a halfway vowel than a complete pronunciation. And if you didn't know what the vowel was supposed to be, it would be almost impossible to tell just from listening to an English speaker say the word. For instance, imagine if you had never seen the word elephant spelled and you were trying to figure out what the second vowel was supposed to be. Elephant. You would have no idea. But in Spanish, that type of thing never happens. All 5 vowels come out crisp, stable, clear, and they never downgrade into a lazy schwa as often happens in English. Now, the problem arises when English speakers hold on to their schwa as they move into Spanish words. You'll hear this often in basic Spanish words like elefante, ensalada, banano, when the way those words are supposed to be pronounced is elefante, ensalada, banano. Zero ambiguity about which vowel is being pronounced where. So as you're pronouncing words in Spanish, be sure that you practice keeping the vowels crisp, sharp, and clear. If you ever feel like your tongue's relaxing or retracting back into the throat, that's the schwa creeping in, and you want to avoid it. Fix number 2, removing the glottal stop. The glottal stop is that little pause in the airflow in phrases like uh-oh. You can feel the air catching at the top of your throat. Now, this sound is not represented by any letter in English. However, we use it all the time to help us pace out our speech. And it happens totally subconsciously. We'll use it at the end of words or to mark the end of a phrase, and it can often replace the T sound when we get a little lazy. For instance, in the word tonight. But Spanish does not rely on the glottal stop to help pace and structure the speech. And that's one of the reasons why Spanish sounds so fast and jumbled together to English ears. We're used to hearing the pause in the airflow to help us make sense of each of the phrases, but Spanish never pauses. The airflow keeps moving constantly from the lungs to the front of the face without a pause. So here's the fix. Whenever you're speaking Spanish, avoid pausing the airflow in your throat. And whenever you reach the end of a word or phrase, instead of pausing with a glottal stop, practice keeping the airflow moving forward constantly. A great way to practice this is to take phrases that have one word that ends with a vowel and the next word starting with a vowel, and then practice repeating that phrase without any pause between the vowels. For instance, the phrase la amiga would be pronounced la amiga, la amiga. Zero pause in the airflow from la to amiga. And when you actually master removing the glottal stop from your Spanish speech, a lot of good things happen. Your syllables will actually speed up, you'll begin to connect Spanish words to each other more fluidly, and Spanish itself will actually slow down to your ear and become a lot easier to understand. It takes a lot of practice, but once it clicks for you, this is one of the biggest upgrades you can make to your Spanish accent and your listening comprehension. Fix number 3, focus on creating the sounds at the front of your mouth. In English, we shape and articulate our sounds near the middle of the mouth and the top of the throat. But in Spanish, it's the muscles at the front of the mouth that spend the most time shaping and articulating the sounds. You can even see this in the way that Spanish speakers are way more expressive with their faces when they're speaking. This is because Spanish is focused on the front of the mouth, and so the muscles in the face actually get a lot more involved in creating the sounds than they do in English. So practice keeping your tongue actually slightly forward and higher in the mouth than you otherwise would. And also practice getting your lips and cheeks more engaged in shaping each of the vowel sounds. This will feel super awkward at first, but you'll actually find that it makes it easier to shape sounds the same way Spanish speakers do. You'll comprehend what's happening in a native Spanish speaker's mouth way more easily, and a lot of the little details in how they create specific sounds will become a lot more intuitive to you, because now you're engaging the same muscles they are in order to create those sounds. You'll probably also find that you can actually speak Spanish faster because the transition from one sound to another is happening at the front of the mouth, instead of constantly pulling it back to the middle of the mouth like you do in English, which tends to make Spanish speech really slow and really garbled. Also, if you master fix number 3, you'll find that it also helps you to remove the schwa and remove the glottal stop from your Spanish speech as well. This is because both the schwa and the glottal stop occur in English precisely because the focus of our airflow is in the middle of the mouth. So once you succeed in putting the focus at the front of the mouth, the schwa and the glottal stop will almost disappear by themselves. This is actually something I go into detail with inside my school community. So if you're interested in learning more about it, click the link below in the description of this video. So there you have it. 3 easy changes that will instantly improve your Spanish accent. They were removing the schwa, removing the glottal stop, and putting the focus of shaping the sounds at the front of your mouth rather than the middle. Hope you found this video useful, and if you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe. It lets me know that you want more of this content. And it also means that you'll probably like this video that YouTube is about to recommend to you right now. So go ahead and check that out, and I'll see you in the next one.